Krabby Patty, a name that instantly triggers hunger in anyone who hears it? But have you ever stopped and wondered, what's the real truth behind this burger? Who made the very first Krabby Patty? How did a bunch of sea creatures come together to create something so iconic? And who was the very first to take a bite of it? What is it about the Krabby Patty that makes the citizens of Bikini Bottom completely addicted? Why is Plankton willing to risk everything, even his life, just to steal its formula? And most importantly, what exactly is that secret formula? Now, I know you've probably heard dozens of theories about what's really inside the Krabby Patty, but today's video isn't just about revealing the formula, it's about uncovering its entire journey. From how the first Krabby Patty was ever created, to how it became a legendary obsession in the ocean depths. So turn off your room lights, grab your popcorn, because this journey is about to get really interesting. And in the end, I'll also reveal two creepiest conspiracy theories, both directly connected to the Krabby Patty's darkest secrets. But for now, let's dive deep into the making of the very first Krabby Patty. The story of the Krabby Patty doesn't begin in Bikini Bottom. It starts far from it, in an old coastal zone known as Shell Street. That's where two young dreamers once lived, Eugene Krabs and Sheldon Plankton. Their childhood was inseparable. On one side there was Krabs, a bit greedy but loyal. On the other, Plankton, extremely intelligent, sharp-minded, but with a dash of arrogance. Despite their differences, they shared one dream. Someday we'll be the richest businessmen in Bikini Bottom. But there was one harsh truth: they were dirt poor. No money, no resources, just one thing in abundance: a hunger to create something legendary. So they roamed around the sea streets, chasing opportunity. Until one day, fate brought them to a place called Stinky Burgers. Back when they were kids, this was the only burger joint anyone knew of. The owner was an old, weird man named Stinky. His restaurant didn't look like much, but strangely it was always crowded. That day, something rare happened. Krabs had found a $1 coin lying on the road. Excited, he wanted to spend it on a burger for the first time. When they reached the counter, Stinky told them, "All burgers are sold out. If you really want one, meet me behind the restaurant." Curious, Krabs and Plankton walked to the back, and what they saw shook them. Stinky, who looked like a shabby old cook before, had now changed into a rich, classy man, in a luxury car. Krabs was shocked. Plankton whispered, "You don't know? He's one of the richest men in Bikini Bottom. All this wealth came from selling burgers." That sentence burned itself into Krabs' heart. Just as Stinky drove off, one of the dollar bills flew out of his car and landed right in Krabs' hands. It wasn't just a coin, it was a spark, a trigger, a fire. That night, Plankton and Krabs looked at each other and said, "We're gonna make our own burger empire." They used that same dollar to buy an old burger recipe book. Then they found an abandoned junkyard known as City Dump, where they set up their first kitchen. No roof, no tools, just passion. They worked day and night, for 2 to 4 straight days, until they finally created something that resembled a burger. "This is it. This is our future," they said with pride. Now confident in their creation, they returned to Stinky Burgers, hoping to sell their first burgers right outside. But something unexpected happened. The restaurant was shut down by the health department. Apparently, Stinky's burgers were so addictive. People were eating them non-stop and getting sick. Krabs and Plankton looked at the closed-down restaurant and smiled. "This is our chance." They set up their little stall right inside the abandoned Stinky Burgers. But then came the problem. No one showed up. Days passed. Still no customer. Until one day they spotted a construction worker named Jenkins. He was passing by and they thought, "Let's make him our first taste tester." But little did they know, he wouldn't be the one to eat the first Krabby Patty, because what they had wasn't the Krabby Patty yet. It was just a burger. Jenkins took a bite and fainted. Both Krabs and Plankton were horrified. Something was clearly wrong. They rushed back inside the restaurant. Plankton said, "Let me rework the recipe. Secretly, I'll make it perfect." But Krabs shouted, "It's my recipe. You don't get to control it." That's when it happened, their biggest fight. In the heat of the argument, the recipe book tore in two. One half with Krabs, one half with Plankton. Both furious, both betrayed. From that day forward, they became rivals. Days passed. Each of them worked separately, trying to create their own version of the perfect burger. And finally, they did. Coincidentally, both arrived at the same place. a school playground, hoping to offer their burgers to hungry children. Plankton gave away his burger first. Then Krabs offered his. The first ever Krabby Patty. And the moment those kids took their first bite of Krabs' creation, something changed. Their eyes lit up. Their smiles widened. They weren't just eating a burger. They were tasting addiction. That taste. That unknown ingredient.
You are the first to taste a Krabby Patty. Flavor! Edible!
We can actually hold it down! This is the most flavor-tastic sensation my still-developing taste buds have ever experienced!
And yes, it was those same kids who first ate the Krabby Patty and instantly became obsessed with it. Seeing this reaction right then and there, Plankton decided that no matter what, he would steal Mr. Krabs' secret formula someday. But Mr. Krabs didn't pay much attention to this. He went ahead and opened his Krusty Krab restaurant in Bikini Bottom and began running his business successfully. On the other side, Plankton kept trying to steal that formula again and again. And that's how, in Bikini Bottom, the rise of the Krabby Patty began, and it started winning hearts everywhere. But wait, while everything else became clear, there's still one mystery that no one has solved. What's in the secret recipe? What did Mr. Krabs add to this burger that made it so irresistible? I mean, people used to faint after eating the old version. But once this secret ingredient was added, everyone became addicted to it. Don't worry. Today, even that truth will be revealed. You'll finally find out what's really inside the Krabby Patty. And that's not all. At the end of this video, there's a surprise. A surprise that reveals how the Krabby Patty came to an end. A truth you've probably never heard before. But in this video, you'll learn everything. So let's dive into it. So, have you ever wondered, why is there only one crab in all of Bikini Bottom? You'll find jellyfish, squids, snails, and even whales. But have you ever seen a group of crabs together? If I tell you honestly, you probably haven't. And if you did, they were likely just Mr. Krabs' family members. But apart from Mr. Krabs and his family, why aren't there any other crabs in Bikini Bottom? Why is that? And now you're probably thinking, why is he even asking this? Well, because this question is directly tied to the Krabby Patty's secret formula. So let's get into it. By now, you know that the biggest secret in the Krabby Patty is the type of meat used in it. But here's the problem. In Bikini Bottom, there are no cows, no chickens, and no animals that could normally be used for burger meat. And of course, Mr. Krabs can't use fish meat, because fish are the ones who eat the burgers. So the real question is, what meat is actually inside the Krabby Patty? Well, the answer lies in the very same episode where the Krabby Patty was first created. Did you notice? When Mr. Krabs brought that first Krabby Patty to the kids to eat, it wasn't just a box he carried it in. It looked exactly like a lobster or crab trap. But here's the thing. Before that day, Mr. Krabs never had that trap. It suddenly appeared, right when he brought the secret formula Krabby Patty. So here's the chilling question. Why did Mr. Krabs have a crab trap? What was it doing with him? What was its purpose? Now I know, this might sound crazy to you right now. But hold on, because things are about to get a lot more disturbing. Remember at the start of the video, I told you that you've never really seen other crabs in Bikini Bottom? Well, it's not because the animators just forgot them or didn't add them. No, it's much darker than that. There are a few older episodes of SpongeBob, episodes that show the origin of Bikini Bottom, and the early primitive creatures who lived there. In one such episode, SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward are searching for food. They come across all sorts of weird, disgusting things. They taste everything, but nothing seems delicious. No. Patrick lifts a rock, and underneath it they find a bunch of live crabs. Without hesitation, Patrick eats one raw. Even SpongeBob and Squidward end up tasting them, and suddenly they feel a shockingly intense flavor. A flavor that hits their brain hard. Exactly like what happens when people eat a Krabby Patty. In that episode, it's clearly shown that, in the ancient times of Bikini Bottom, people used to eat crabs. And this is important. It's the only species ever shown being eaten in the show. Not just that. In the same flashback episode, it's also shown that there used to be a lot of crabs in Bikini Bottom. So, what happened? Why did they all vanish? How can an entire species disappear overnight? Even more disturbing, since the day Krusty Krab opened, and since Mr. Krabs started selling Krabby Patties, not a single other crab has been shown in any episode. Just think about it. Why are only crabs missing from Bikini Bottom? What happened to them? Let's lift the veil on this dark secret now. You and I both know. A real burger contains cow, chicken, or turkey meat. But none of these animals exist underwater. In Bikini Bottom, there are only fish, and obviously Mr. Krabs can't use fish meat. But in the past, it's been clearly shown that people used to eat crabs. And crab meat, oddly enough, has a texture and taste somewhat similar to land meat. People liked it a lot. Now if you connect all these dots, there's only one terrifying conclusion. Mr. Krabs is using his own species, crabs, as the secret ingredient in the Krabby Patty. And the scary part? He doesn't even care. Because when he first brought that secret formula Krabby Patty, he carried it in a crab trap. That means he likely experimented, and in the shortage of meat options, he decided to use crabs, knowing that people once loved the taste. And if you're thinking, but Mr. Krabs himself is a crab, why would he do that? Then don't forget the scene where he finds that $1 on the street. He says right then and there, "I'll do anything to become rich." From that moment he became greedy, and for money he'd do absolutely anything, even serve his own kind as food. And here's the twist. Even the creators of the show have left hints. Subtle ones, but if you catch them, they clearly point to the truth behind the meat in the patty. All of this, the mystery, the silence, the vanishing of an entire species, is what fuels these conspiracy theories. So now I don't know what you think is in the Krabby Patty, but according to me the truth is simple. The Krabby Patty's secret ingredient is crab meat. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. But wait, this video doesn't end here. You saw the origin of the Krabby Patty. You discovered the secret ingredient. But do you know how it all ended? That's what I wondered too. So I did a bit more digging. And what I found was a theory so dark, it might just explain how the Krabby Patty story came to an end. Let's explore that in the final chapter. So I did a lot of research to figure out what exactly happened to the Krabby Patty. How long did it remain the pride of Bikini Bottom? How long did Mr. Krabs manage to protect its secret formula? Honestly, I didn't find much solid information. But just when I was about to quit my research, I stumbled upon a theory. A theory that could very well explain the end of the Krabby Patty. It wasn't just a theory, it was based on a lost episode-style story titled, "The Final Patty, Plankton's Hollow Victory." So now let's dive into how, according to this story, the Krabby Patty met its end. According to the episode, Plankton had been working on a new device. A device powerful enough to bypass the lock system of Mr. Krabs' vault. And for the first time, he succeeded. And now let me tell you the rest, like a dark tale. It was a stormy night. SpongeBob was on vacation. Mr. Krabs was deep asleep. And Plankton began his final mission. He snuck into the Krusty Krab, passed through every hallway, every security barrier, until he finally reached the vault, the one that had haunted his dreams for years. Just one last button. Click. The vault door opened. There it was. The paper. The legendary, mysterious piece of paper. The secret Krabby Patty formula, in his hands. And then, the truth. As Plankton read the formula, his face changed. His eyes widened. His breathing stopped. Primary ingredient, crab flesh? No spices, no magic sauce, just crab meat, extracted fresh, preserved with deep sea salt. He froze, and suddenly all the pieces started falling into place. Why is there no other crab in Bikini Bottom? Every sea creature has a full species, but only Mr. Krabs exists? Because he ate the rest. The flavor of the Krabby Patty came from crab meat. Mr. Krabs had committed mass murder of his own kind, turning their flesh into this secret ingredient that made him rich. Plankton stood in shock. What he had uncovered was not just a secret. It was genocide, masked behind fast food. But Plankton, still obsessed with becoming rich, decided to search for the last remaining crabs. He searched every corner of the ocean, every deep trench, every cave. But it was too late. There wasn't a single crab left. Mr. Krabs had wiped out his entire species, all for profit. And now, even though Plankton held the formula in his hands, he couldn't make the patty. But then, exhausted, he stumbled back into the Krusty Krab kitchen. And there, on the counter, lay one final Krabby Patty. It looked like a rare diamond to him, a masterpiece, a legend. But that patty could never be made again, could never be tasted again. Meanwhile in Bikini Bottom, the shortage of Krabby Patties drove the city into madness. People began fighting, rioting, and when they discovered that Mr. Krabs had fled, and that the secret formula was made of crab, nobody cared. They still wanted the taste, the addiction, the euphoria. Even knowing it was made from their own kind, they just wanted more. But now, with no crabs left, there was no way to make another patty. In anger and desperation, the people burned the Krusty Krab to the ground. And that's how the Krabby Patty came to its final end. Plankton was now alone. He had the formula, but it was useless. The Krabby Patty had become a legend, a myth, a story about a burger that once brought people joy, only to later destroy them from within. And that, dear viewers, was the entire journey of the Krabby Patty, from its origin to its dark, unforgettable end. Now yes, this wasn't an official episode, but imagine if this really was the final episode of SpongeBob. How disturbing would that be? I mean, think about it. No one even cared that the Krabby Patty was made of crab meat, their own kind. All they cared about was taste. Just taste. So, how did you like the entire story of the Krabby Patty, from start to end? Tell me in the comments below. And also, what cartoon mystery should we uncover next?